But definitely a conversation can be a very rich and positive and really move you forward in new ways, because the private sector is out there innovating as we say here.
I just had one thing to that is, there are, let's be clear, there are really big, complex issues with water, like internet access needs, that there's no straightforward answers to, that the usual suspects get in their corners and, and battle it out. And you're not unique in that, and it happens all over the place. I think one of the opportunities with this kind of analysis, where it shows kind of what's at stake, is that there's a lot of exciting stuff that has happened. You're poised to do some more exciting stuff in the economy in a lot of different ways. And issues like water or internet access are critical components of your continued or your growing success. Somehow going to be able to show the demand side of this, which is, it's not just about having water for, quote, special interests or something like that. It's about having water for our economy. It's about internet access for our economic well-being that we all share in and that we all have a stake and all benefit from. And how do we kind of pull this in, not only the information, but the stakeholders, the employers, the broader case. And I have seen places that have, where you've had a transformation of the conversation about those big, difficult issues, is frankly where you have the private sector play a much more fundamental role, take much more responsibility across different sectors. Even those that don't have the direct, clearly those who have the direct water interests, for example, like agriculture, are going to be involved in some issues. But when you get the manufacturers and you get the healthcare providers and you get the whole range of these innovative industries, these target opportunity industries, employers involved in a coalition that says, we all have to, this is about the future of our economy, this is about the future of our place. And that's when those kind of conversations transform into something else. Does it solve all the problems? Of course not. You got to keep, these are hard issues, you got to keep working on them. But the breakthroughs I've seen is when you have that broader coalition talking, and so it gets out of the sort of more of a special interest or the usual suspects kind of conversation, where the gridlock is going to be another. So I just throw that in as an additional piece that it creates an opening for that. And not every region has the good news to be able to say, let's build on these employers. Some regions, the story is much more dire, and they don't have the solutions. The story here is that this region does. There has been excitement. There are innovators out there, there are entrepreneurs out there, there are exciting sectors, and yes, you have big issues and big challenges ahead as well. So how can you kind of connect those dots in a way where you can address your big challenges with some of your real big fundamental assets that you don't have to apologize to anybody for having, because you've got some significant strengths there.
Thanks. Additional comments? Supervisor.
Hey, Johnny, I'm sure that. I appreciate the statistics that you put up there today. What it shows is the private sector is doing what the private sector does best. They're the innovative ones. They're going to step up. It's the economic advantage that they see here, and they're going to expand. They're going to locate. Our job, as Johnny said, and it was said a few minutes ago, is to get the heck out of the way, but provide the infrastructure and a reasonable process for which these folks can get through. And that's where we've been trying to do, and I'm going to take exception to what Johnny will do. I understand his frustration on the water side. I'm extremely frustrated too, but we have set the policy, and the reason why we don't have staff in here today from the water agency is the better dam will be out there finding water and working on the project that we set out there. We do have projects identified. We've got the Lake Mendocino project identified, but we're at the mercy of the feds on that. And we've been asking for money to get that done, and we haven't been getting it from the federal government, from our representatives, and that's a frustration part for me. We also have the Boy Scouts, we have the college, and we have the Marina Drive. We have a bunch of reservoir sites that are out there, and they better be out there working on those today rather than sitting in here. So as much as it's important for them to be in here, that's where I'm hoping they are. If they aren't, then there's some accountability issues that we need to be dealing with. I appreciate the catalyst for consensus, because despite the process we put together, somebody comes into this county for something. Those usual suspects, as you referred to, fill that boardroom, and it's a stop and stop and stop. And what our responsibility up here is to put kowtowing to the cave people, the citizens against virtually everything, and say, no, this is the process, this is something good, and we're going to make it happen. But too often is politics get involved, and things get bogged down, and weight is given political process can't allow that to happen. If it's a good, solid project, then we need to stand behind it and leave the politics out of it. The other part that when I say reasonable process, on our end, if we set a policy direction and we say we want the economic development to occur and we want our process to be something that works, not send somebody all over town trying to get all the permits that they need, if that's not happening, and to a lot of degree it's not happening, it's not being followed through, then there's an accountability issue. And that's where I think we need to focus too, is making sure that those folks that aren't carrying forward our policy direction are held accountable and something is done. Because much too often we sit up here and we say, this is what we want to see, and then our own employees, our own staff are working counterproductive to that, and nothing's happening to address it. That's part of my frustration. So our process is to get the infrastructure in place, whether it's the telecom and the fiber, water, sewer, roads, whatever we